OK, now let's get to what is a massive night for British boxing tomorrow at the O2 Arena in London. The weigh-ins are now underway and we can cross there now.
Good afternoon from the Indigo at the O2. A great sense of anticipation as we start to see the fighters weigh in. 3 world titles at stake. We're going to get the first 2 underway very shortly. I'm joined by Froch and Paulie Malignaggi to oversee proceedings. But first of all, let's hear from our MC, Michael Buffer.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, at this time, the weigh-in will continue with the first of our 3 World Championship fights. And it will all be brought to you by Mr. Eddie Hearn and Matchroom Boxing, along with Sky Sports Box Office. And stepping up to the scales at this time, let's welcome the challenger for this IBF Featherweight Championship contest. He comes to us from right here in the UK. Ladies and gentlemen, he is the challenger, #1 ranked contender in the world by the WBC, former European, British, WBC International Featherweight Champion, Lightning Lee Selby.
A huge amount of excitement surrounding Lee Selby. He's very, very slick. He's got great skills. A lot of people think this guy, Carl, could go a long, long way.
Yeah, he's looking like he can go a long way. All the skills, slick, confidence in the ring, it's unbelievable. And sometimes when he fights, it's almost, he takes his foot off the gas to get the rounds in. You know, but against Gradovic here, he's in with a tough opponent, a 3-weight world champion who's, you know, coming to win. If he wins this fight, this could potentially set him up for a big fight with Lomachenko in America. You know. So he needs to win this fight, as does Lee Selby. So I think they're both going to all take it in the ring and leave it all in there. This is a really, really exciting fight that I'm looking forward to.
We certainly are. Let's have a look at how Lee Selby shapes up for weighing in on the scales. Good healthy crowd here at the Indigo as Lee Selby takes to the scales. 126 pounds is the magic number we're looking for. He's comfortably inside that. That's actually a digital scale, so that's 0.3 of
8 stone, 13 pounds, 3 ounces
pound,
for the challenger, Lee Selby.
So Paulie's comfortably inside, and we're really looking forward to what should be a good performance. And he said on many an occasion he needs top-class opponents to bring the best out of him.
Well, if he wants the top-class opponents, Evgeny Gradovic is certainly a top-class opponent holding the World Championship. And a great clash of styles. What makes this fight interesting is it's going to be Selby's smooth boxing against Gradovic's raw pressure and physical type of style, and really forcing a fast pace. So see if Selby can deal with that as well with his slick boxing. So that's the interesting thing about the fight. Anytime you get a good clash of styles like this.
Fingers crossed. So Gradovic about to make his way onto the scales. He comes here as the IBF Boxer of the Year. So a great, great pedigree from Igram in Russia, the 28-year-old. And this is the 5th defense of his title. So he's very, very well seasoned, Paulie. This could well be one of the fights of the night, but there's potential for that all over the card.
Of course, great fights all over the card. One thing about Gradovic, you know, he's dealt with all kinds of styles. You know, his last fight before Jason Malev was a pretty good boxer. He took the world title off of Billy Dib, was also a pretty good, slick boxer. So Lee Selby's going to have to show some different wrinkles in terms of his slickness in order to hold off Gradovic and confuse the pressure that he's going to bring.
Let's see how he weighs in. Right on the limit, 126 there.
9 stone.
Absolutely bob on.
Even for the reigning
9 stone even for the champion. So Lee Selby coming in slightly lighter. Won't make much of a difference, I don't think, at this sort of stage. So we've got the Welsh Mayweather versus the Russian Mexican. It's a real clash of personality styles and nationalities and all sorts.
It is, yeah. I mean, it looks like Paul said there. It looks to be one of the best fights on the bill. But there's so many good fights on this card. I mean, Frankie Gavin, I'm really looking forward to. Myself, I think Brook does the business. But back to this one, Selby Gradovic, great fight, and he looks more comfortable at the weight. Looking at his skin and looking at his body, Selby looks like he's had to take a little bit off. I'm talking about Gradovic being comfortable. He just looked really happy on the weight, smack on the weight there, and he looks a bit fuller, muscular. Looks like he's carrying a little bit more flesh around his body. Selby here is tall. I mean, I'm sure everybody struggles at the waist a little bit, but Selby just to me looks a little bit gaunt. And I'm hoping that doesn't affect him late on in the fight, because Gradovic really does look the part. He's coming smack on the way, and he's got all experience.
So there is the belt behind them that they are fighting for, the IBF featherweight title. One last look into each other's eyes before the fight itself. Lee Selby, very calm, very cool, but then you can say exactly the same about Gradovic. And we are really looking forward to these pair putting on what should be a cracking fight. The first of 3 world titles on Saturday night. We'll be looking forward to another one in just a moment or two. We'll just wait for the photographers to get their last photographs, etc. A nice little shake of the hands. Great respect between these two fighters by the looks of things, and rightly so, Paulie.
Yeah, absolutely. When you know you're in with another world-class fighter, you know, there hasn't been too much trash talking in the fight. Both have a lot of respect. Selby's just excited about the opportunity to win a world championship. Gradovich is excited for the opportunity to defend in London, to defend in England. He was talking about how excited he was.
Now, hang on a second. There's a bit of pushing and shoving going on there. Carl, you had a better view of that.
Yeah, Chris Sanagar, I think he had a little bit of a push about with the opponent's trainer, with Gradovich's trainer. Don't know what it was about. It seems to be calmed down now, but Chris Sanagar not happy there. He got pushed back and it almost got a little bit more heated just before Eddie Hearn stuck his head in there and managed to sort it out.
It's no surprise, really, is it, at this sort of stage that the fighters are making weight. They're a little bit cranky, maybe a little bit hungry, maybe a little bit dehydrated. Tempers do occasionally get a little bit pushed every now and then.
They do, yeah. I mean, things go off behind the scenes that people don't see, like the rules meeting with the gloves. You don't want them to wear these gloves, or you know, you can't wear that court protector, that box protector, because it's too high. Or if somebody holds a bit in a fight, they discuss things that we don't see. So they've had an argument there over something that we probably don't know anything about, we probably won't need to know about. But
well, we'll leave it there anyway, because Kevin Mitchell is now making his way onto the stage. This will be a hugely popular fighter. You can tell by the reaction from the crowd. What a fairy tale it would be, Paulie, if Kevin Mitchell was to finally get his hands on a world title.
Up and down the career of Kevin Mitchell, he's had a love affair with the crowd. The crowd's had a love affair with him. The British fans love him. He's been a bit indisciplined over the course of his career. Inconsistency. Has shown world-class talent, but at times is not disciplined enough. Can he put it all together against a world-class champion in Jorge Linares and finally bring home a world championship in front of his crowd?
9 stone, 8 pounds.
Comfortably just inside the 9 stone 9 limits.
Former lightweight world champion Kevin Mitchell.
And he will be enormously popular on Saturday night. I think there'll be pretty much more or less the whole arena will be shouting for him. But we are really looking forward to this one, because Jorge Linares, the opposition, is top quality.
25 wins by knockout, only 3 defeats. He's known as El Niño de Oro, the Golden Boy, Jorge Linares.
This man has got titles at 3 different weights, and that takes a lot of doing, Paulie Malignaggi.
Yeah, very skilled. One of the most talented fighters on the planet, pound for pound. He just, at times, he seemed to be just a bit inconsistent as well. You know, it's a tale of two fighters that have been inconsistent in different ways. Linares has shown discipline, but at times he's just maybe not taking the best of punches. And as smooth boxing and as slick as he is and as pretty of a boxer as he is to watch, at times he just tends to fall apart when he gets hit with a couple of shots. You know, he's had a couple of upset losses on his record, and so it leaves the door open for Mitchell to creep in to the back door and get the upset. But Linares can fight, and Linares will box very smoothly, and it's tough to really do.
9 stone 9 4 ounces.
9 stone 9 4 ounces, so he's just over the limit.
Slightly over.
Very slightly.
Officially to shed 4 ounces.
Well, are you surprised by that, Cole? A professional of that nature, given the record, he's got to come in just a little bit over the weight. He's got 2 hours, but he's still got to shift a little bit.
I am surprised, yeah. It does happen sometimes at these levels, but, I mean, usually they've got check scales in the hotel room or wherever they're based, and they come here smack on or under the weight. I mean, 4 ounces, his boxer shorts probably weigh 2 ounces. That's why he's not going to try and take them off. What we're saying here is officially they've got 1 hour to make weight. Shouldn't be a problem, but it's not a good sign, because if he struggled to do the weight, now he's got to go away and take more off. That's a sign it will drain you, and this will give Kevin Mitchell a bit of a confidence booster.
Confirmation there from Michael Buffer, just saying that he actually has 1 hour in order to lose that 4 ounces, like Carl says. Boxer shorts will probably take a couple off, but another couple of ounces to lose. That shouldn't be too much of a problem, should it, Paulie?
Yeah, it shouldn't. It depends on how much he's lost already today, but it shouldn't be too much of a problem. You know, the thing that surprises me is Linares turned pro, I believe, at featherweight. So this is his 3rd weight class. You know, usually guys, as they move up in weight, they make the weight just a little bit easier. But he does have a big frame for a lightweight. He's tall. If I had to guess, I'd expect him to lose the 0.4. I'd expect him to lose the 4 ounces, and this fight will be a title fight tomorrow night.
Kevin Mitchell then, hugely popular in these parts, in the East End of London. And Pretty much all the West Ham fans, I'm sure, will be cheering him on Saturday night as he goes for that world title against Jorge Linares. Surely one of the fights tonight, I suspect probably the toughest fight of the night as well. But don't forget, we have 2 more fights that we're going to weigh in, that we're going to show you. Another one of those, of course, is a world title. But next up will be Anthony Joshua, surely the toughest fight of his career so far against Kevin Kingpin Johnson. Join us very, very soon for that.
Gents, thank you very, very much.
OK, let's go back now to the O2 Arena and join Fraser Dainton once again. Olympic champion Anthony Joshua is about to weigh in ahead of his biggest test to date. Fraser, over to you.
Yeah, massive interest in this one, as you would expect, because Kevin Kingpin Johnson has had plenty to say. He's also had plenty of top-class opponents as well. Never been stopped. Let's see what happens when they get to the scales. Carl and Paulie are with me again. But first of all, let's rejoin our MC, Michael Buffer.
Ladies and gentlemen, tomorrow night, before we go to our 3 World Championship fights, a very special contest for the big boys, the heavyweight division, 10 rounds of boxing for the WBC International Heavyweight Championship. Let's welcome to the scales at this time from Atlanta, Georgia. His record, 29 victories, including 14 wins by knockout. He has 6 defeats, but in his 35 professional fights, he has never been stopped as a heavyweight fighter. Ladies and gentlemen, here is Kevin Kingpin Mitchell.
Well, as you might expect, no surprise that Kevin is playing the part of the pantomime villain, shall we say. He's had plenty to say this week, but the most exciting thing, I think, as far as this matchup is concerned, Carl, is the fact that he has not been stopped, despite the fact that he has been in the ring with some top quality opposition.
I think he's not been stopped because sometimes, well, quite often when he's fighting a big name, he goes into his shell. I was just talking to Paulie about it then, and the Klitschko fight is a prime example of what he does to get through the fights, and he goes into his defensive shell, very negative, and he gets through the fight. I don't think he'll do this because in this fight against Josh, because he's going to be looking at Josh as an inexperienced novice, so it might give him a bit of confidence, might let him have a go, and I hope he does have a go to give the fight fans an actual fight.
This is what we want to see. He's been up in Manchester, we understand, training at Tyson Fury's gym with Peter Fury, so it'll be interesting to see exactly how that turns out. Let's hear the reception now of Anthony Joshua.
As a professional, 12 fights, 12 victories, 12 wins by knockout from Watford, Hertfordshire, United Kingdom, the undefeated, reigning, defending WBC International Heavyweight Champion, the undefeated Anthony Joshua.
Huge round of applause for Anthony Joshua as he gets onto the scales. 12 fights, 12 knockouts. Nobody has gone any further than 3 rounds with him so far. Is this, Paulie, where that all changes?
Well, Anthony Joshua's been a terror to all his opponents, but Kevin Johnson is a big guy with a bit more experience. Certainly the most experienced of Anthony Joshua's opponents that he's fought thus far in his career. Johnson is the kind of guy where if he feels confident and you give him a reason to be confident, he'll have a go. But if Joshua shuts the door right away and starts to show him that he's superior, you'll probably see Johnson go into survival mode once again, go into sparring partner mode once again. So it's up to Joshua, Anthony Joshua, that once he lets Johnson know with a good shot and during the fight that he can't win this fight, that he gets him out of there. Otherwise, if he allows Johnson to get into survival mode, it may go the distance.
Well, let's see. We hope that we see a great fight between these two. If Kevin Johnson is anywhere near as good as he's claiming he is, given the fact that he said he's only ever fought at around about 60% before, but he says this time he's really taking it seriously. He's going at 100% for the first time in his life for this fight. He says there's even been fights where he's not even trained at all. But he certainly has had plenty to say, and fingers crossed he delivers what he's promising.
Well, he's convinced himself, and he's now trying to convince everybody else that he's in there with a real big chance of winning this fight. I can't see it, but Joshua is very inexperienced at any sort of level in the professional game, and you know, he's talking to him here, he's getting inside his head, or trying to get inside his head at the weigh-in on the face-off. Josh isn't faced, he's probably, you know, he's just taking it in his stride, Josh. But, you know, it's not got heated, but Johnson's trying to have a go there and try and wind him up.
Well, we'll see how that one pans out in the ring itself. But what has been interesting, I think, as well, is the fact that that Kevin Johnson has done plenty this week in order to try and get into Anthony Joshua's head. And yet, Paulie, Anthony Joshua himself seems to be completely and utterly unfazed by everything that Kevin Johnson so far has thrown at him. Yeah,
I think Anthony kind of went into this fight week already knowing that Johnson would try to rattle him, try to talk, and Anthony Joshua's taking the approach to just be quiet and just not give him any reaction at all, you know? Because if you react one time and then you don't react the rest of the week, then it looks like you got in your head. But if you take the approach, you do the same thing all week, and his approach has been let him talk all week, he's not going to talk trash back, and he continued that mentality today. If you're going to take one approach, stay with that approach, be consistent. Otherwise, it's easy to show that you're being rattled. If you talk back, then you got to talk back all week. If you stay quiet, you got to stay quiet all week. Joshua's taking the quiet approach. He's not rattled. He's focused. Well, we're going to be hearing from Anthony Joshua very soon, because hopefully he's making his way over to speak to us very, very soon. But Carl, when it was you up there on the stage, there were sometimes a few words exchanged with opponents. How difficult is it to try and shut that out of your head when you've got your opponent shouting down your ear?
I think the times when I respond and I get wind up is when I'm not quite done the training right, and I'm not confident in what I've done. So I'm thinking I'm not letting him get away with saying that, and I always respond and have a bite back, like, for example, the first Groves fight. But in the rematch, I left no stone unturned. I trained so hard and put everything in the gym and the diet. Everything was so perfect. I wasn't going to let Groves wind me up. So I think Anthony Joshua was just in the mindset that, you know what, this is going to be a straightforward job for me. You can say and do what you want, but you're not going to wind me up because I'm too good. And I really do believe he feels he's too good for Johnson. He'll be thinking in his head, this guy's never been stopped. Can I do the rounds? But he want to get the rounds in anyway. He needs a kind of experience. So I think he's confident. He's going to do the business, so he's not fazed, he's smiling, and I think the writing's on the wall for Johnson. I think Johnson's getting beat, but he's going to come and have a go.
Well, let's hear from the man himself. Let's get him up on the stage here, Anthony. He's just been putting his trainers back on. Thanks for joining us. Just come around this way for us, Anthony, and just stand beside me. Happy with the way things went there. He was having a few words with you there, which we'd come to expect from Kevin Johnson. Bearing in mind it's a family show, what kind of stuff was he saying in your ear there?
Just put his hand on my heart, said he can feel me, so on and so forth. But it's all bravado. It's good, he's confident. That's what I need right now, is a confident fighter, someone who's going to last, stand up to me. And it'll give me an opportunity to break him down and show what I'm made of.
How much of a test has this been for you this week? Because it's a different level of opponent. And for the first time, you've really had somebody there who's been in with top quality opposition and just having a few words in your ear as well.
No test at all, because once I get past Johnson, they're already going to get tougher and tougher. I've got champions beside me, they've been through it, and I always study their careers, so for me, I've already pre-planned these things to happen, so I'm not fazed by it. I know it's part of the game. The main thing I've got to go out there is punch his head in and get the victory.
How excited are you by being part of this, Bill? Because it is absolutely stacked, and for you to be involved in this at this stage in your career, it must be the stuff of dreams for you.
This Bill alone, you know, we just had Mayweather, Pacquiao, boxing in general is just thriving. So to come along at this particular time is an honour. I was just thinking about it when I was backstage, say, look at what I'm involved in. And a show like this, we've got champions that are defending, champions that are fighting for titles. It's unbelievable to be part of this show, and that's why I train hard, because I want to perform in front of the people that are watching.
And if you manage a victory in this fight and you do it in style, you're going to send a message to those who have got the belts at the top echelons of this division now as well. And fingers crossed, it won't be long before we're seeing you fighting for a world title at an arena like this.
One step at a time, one step at a time. But that's the direction. Opportunities will present themselves pretty soon. That's why in the gym, it's not like we're just preparing for the times of now. We're already ahead of the game. So like we're doing like 15, 16, 18 rounds in the gym. And I'm sure that come tomorrow, you know, I'll be able to display what I'm made of. But I'm not the finished article, as I said, one step at a time. So when the World Championships and European Championships and British Championships start coming, I'll be ready for each stage when it presents itself.
Well, Anthony, we wish you the very best of luck. Thanks very much indeed for joining us. If you could make your way back off the stage now, mate, thank you very much indeed. We're going to go straight now back to the stage because the main event is about to weigh in. It's Kell Brook, it's Frankie Gavin, it's the IBF welterweight title. And let's rejoin our MC, Michael Buffer.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, you've seen the weigh-in for most of the fighters here tonight. Just one contest left. Now, as you all know, tomorrow night at the O2 Arena, Mr. Eddie Hearn and Matchroom Boxing, along with Sky Sports Box Office, will present one of the best top-to-bottom cards in the history of fighting right here in London, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, we have sponsor support from Daffabet, Lonsdale, and StubHub. And at this time, let's have the official weigh-in for the main event of the evening. 12 rounds of boxing for the IBF Welterweight Championship of the World. First onto the scales, please welcome to the stage. He is the challenger. His record, 22 victories, only 1 defeat, 13 wins by knockout. He comes to us from Birmingham, United Kingdom, former British and Commonwealth welterweight champion. He is Fun Time Frankie Gavin.
Plenty of applause for Frankie Gavin, and he looks very, very serious on the scales. This one, of course, 147 pounds, and he's just inside the limit there. Looks in fantastic shape. He's taken it very, very seriously so far, Carl. Real serious face on his head. Previously, he probably hadn't taken boxing as seriously as he should have done, but now with this opportunity, he really is looking 100% focused.
Yeah, he looks serious. You know, he looks like he needs a business, but this is the way he's up the scales. You know, I judge people by what they do, not by what they say. And you know, he's not done a great deal in the professional rankings. He's certainly not done enough to show me that he's got enough to take Kell Brook's title off him.
Kell Brook comfortably inside the distance as far as the weight is concerned. And again, as you would expect, Paulie, he is looking in fantastic shape.
Well, he just fought a couple of months ago with his title defense against Jojo Dan. Blew Jojo Dan right out of there, and obviously got right back in the gym with another title defense with Frankie Gavin scheduled so quickly after. So you can tell Kell is in shape. I don't think he got very much out of shape between fights, and I expect another sharp performance from him.
Kell Brook bringing his IBF welterweight world title belt with him for the head-to-head. He wants to make sure that Frankie Gavin knows that that is his belt. Nobody is going to take that belt off him. He had that hunger when he went over to America and claimed it in the first place. He says that that hunger has changed. It's now even stronger than ever because he wants to make sure that he keeps hold of it. But that hunger will too be burning away in the chest of Frankie Gavin. A few little words between the two of them. And as far as Kell Brook is concerned, Carl, he wants to let the world know, let everybody in this division where there's some stellar names, that he is coming for them.
Well, this is a fight that he needs to win, and he needs to win impressively to show everybody what he's trying to tell everybody, that he's the best in the world, and he wants to dominate in this division. And, you know, I believe him, not just because I've trained with him and because I've sparred with him. You know, I've sparred with Kell Brook, and he's a tough, tough kid, and he's very, very talented. But we've seen it, and since his injury that he's got over now, he seems to have a new mindset, and it's that mindset that he needed to take him to that next level where I think he's headed.
They've been both very, very respectful so far in the build-up between the two of them. There were one or two serious words going on there by the looks of it, but it's nice to see there is that respect there. And he has to respect Frankie Gavin because the fact is, as far as his amateur pedigree is concerned, it's second to none. He was a world champion. Very, very few people have been able to do that.
Yeah, world champion amateur, done very well. I mean, he got a gold medal there in the amateurs. Other than the Olympic Games, I mean, sometimes a world championship medal can be as hard as winning an Olympic medal. But it's amateur boxing, it's not professional boxing. So let's look at what Gavin's done as a professional and compare it with what Kell Brook's done. And has he done anything or shown anybody anything enough to beat Kell Brook? In my opinion, no, he hasn't. But this is probably the first time he's been talking and training and saying all the right things, doing all the right things to go ahead and try and take this title off him. Me, myself, I just think Kell Brook's got too much for him. He's too strong for him. But I think if he's not on his A game, you know, this opponent in Gavin is somebody that could really, really upset the apple cart. I mean, if he won this fight, it'd be a massive, massive upset. Nobody's expecting him to win, but he's got the pedigree to cause Kell Brook some problems. I don't think it's going to be enough problem for Kell Brook, but we'll wait and see.
Carl, Paulie, for the moment, thanks very much indeed for joining me. Join us after the break very, very soon. Kell Brook will be joining us here on the stage, so we will hear from the IBF welterweight champion as he takes on Frankie Gavin.
OK, let's get back to the O2 now. We're building up to a huge night of boxing tomorrow night. Kell Brook has just weighed in, and he now joins Fraser Dainton. Fraser.
Yeah, the weigh-in completed. We have a world title fight between Kell Brook and Frankie Gavin, and Kell Brook joins me now. Kell, comfortably inside the weight as we expected. Happy with the way things have gone?
Yeah, I'm very happy. I've been relaxed. All my team's been relaxed. We've done the hard training now. We've just made weight, so it's about fueling up right, getting in the zone now, baby, for tomorrow night.
There were some very serious faces there between yourself and Frankie, and you were having a few words. You were just telling him, I think, weren't you, that this is it now, this is the real deal?
I will, just letting him know. I think he already does know. I said, fun time's over now, Frankie. You know, you're in with a special one. It's time to fight. You know, and all these fans have paid a lot of hard-earned money to see us fight. So, you know, let's give him a good fight tomorrow night. And you know, he said, I'm here to fight. I'm here to take your belt. So we're in for a great fight.
We can see it, can't we, from the look in your eyes, the hunger that you've got to try and keep hold of this belt. But we can see the hunger in his eyes as well, that he wants to take it off you.
That's why it's World Championship boxing. You know, it's about him being at his best and me being at my best, and you're getting top quality boxing here at his best and in the hottest division. You know, I'm expecting a hard fight with Frankie. But like I said, I've done the hard work now. I'm in the zone, and I'm tunnel visual in on, you know, to end him.
You can't look forwards to anybody else at the moment, but there are so many stellar names. There's always so much talk. How difficult is it to try and keep that to the back of your mind?
You know, you've just got to keep what's in front of you on your mind, and that's Frankie Gavin. You know, it's about Saturday night. It's about taking care of Frankie Gavin, and then we'll move forward after that.
And it's about putting on a performance as well that people will take notice of and sit up and watch.
Listen, I'm not looking to make this a boring fight. You know, I'm looking to seek and destroy. I'm looking to be explosive. A lot, you know, these people have paid a lot of money to watch us fight, so I'm looking to take heads off. I'm looking to take heads off, seek and destroy. That's what my mission is.
And it couldn't be any better in a venue like this in front of 18,000 with a world watching. This is exactly the kind of thing you want from now until the end of your career.
This is it. This is it now. Topping a building O2. From, you know, you can put me anywhere in Britain. I'm getting to that star where I've always wanted to be. You know, stars the limits, and I'm looking to perform, looking to be outstanding, excel now in this game.
Well, we wish you the best of luck, Kell. Thanks very much indeed for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow night. Kell Brook has weighed in, so too has Frankie Gavin. This is the man in possession of the IBF welterweight title. He is in no mood whatsoever to let it go.
Thank you very much.
More in everybody's backyard. I'm used to it. I'm used to the crowd, used to the judges, used to the referees, used to the promoters, used to the fighter. This has been my whole career. This is nothing new. It's another walk in the circus for me. But the thing I like the most is after you beat a dog and you're in their home, you get to take the victory stroll. Energies change. That's what I look for.
OK, let's get more on tomorrow night's boxing now. And Frankie Gavin will have a slight weight advantage over Kell Brook when the pair fight for the IBF welterweight title. Well, after the weigh-in, the pair went head-to-head for the final time before meeting in the ring. Words were exchanged between the pair, and Gavin says he's confident of pulling off an upset.
Very confident, more than ready. It's real now, it's on. Can't wait.
How are the nerves?
Listen, no nerves yet. It's not here. When I walk in the ring tomorrow, I'll be a bit nervous. That's only the way. It's the biggest stage in getting boxing. But I'm ready, trust me. I'm more than ready.
There's been so much respect between the two of you on social network and in the build-up, but what did you say to him then at the head-to-head?
He's just going on like saying, you're going to have a fight. I said, if it comes to it, I'll fight you, no problem. I'm a bit scared. I'm not one bit scared. I told him he's in for a shock. And if he wants it, we'll have it.
And we can get back to the O2 Arena now and rejoin our reporter Fraser Dainton. Fraser.
Weigh-in completed here in London. All the fights ready to go. Let's hear from the promoter, Eddie Hearn. You were on stage while everybody was head-to-head and nose-to-nose and what have you. You can normally hear everything that's being said between the two fighters. What sort of things were you hearing on the stage this afternoon?
A mixture, a lot of different languages. You know, Venezuelan, Dagnam, it's very different. Russian, you know, Welsh. The two, obviously, that stood out, Anthony Joshua and Kevin Johnson. Kevin Johnson played the very dangerous game of touching your opponent. And normally at a weigh-in, these guys don't have to make weight, obviously, the heavyweights, but putting your hand on another man to these guys is always very disrespectful. He reached out to feel Anthony's heartbeat. I'm not sure it even existed, to be honest with you, but I was more concerned about whether I'd need a change of underwear because these guys are 6'7", 6'4", and big men. And when you touch another man like that, Anthony did quite well just to remain calm. And I think inside he wants to, as he said, punish this man tomorrow night. Kell Brook was very different, didn't really expect it. Kell Brook said that fun time's over for you. That's his nickname, Frankie Gavin. And Frankie Gavin said, you're going to get the shock of your life tomorrow night. And Kell said, just make sure you come and fight me. And Frankie said, I'll be right in front of you. And just a nice little things heating up now between those two in a huge domestic fight for the world title. But top to bottom, this card, 7 hours of championship boxing, 3 world title fights. Jorge Linares back on the scales in a minute to make the weight. That's a big boost for Kevin Mitchell. Massive support here at the O2. I've been into the arena, 18,000 sellout. Goosebumps when you look around that place. This is one of the best nights of British boxing for a long, long time.
And all along the line, in the vast majority of cases, they're pick'ems.
Completely. I mean, you know, the first time in history 2 Brits have challenged for the world welterweight title. Frankie Gavin is really up for this fight. People think Kell Brook might have overlooked him. Of course, Joshua Johnson, you heard the reception here. Everyone can't wait to see that fight. There's going to be some serious bombs dropped by Anthony Joshua tomorrow night at the O2. Kevin Mitchell, can he do it in front of 18,000 of his own people? That'll be so emotional if he can beat the 3-weight world champion Jorge Linares. Lee Selby looked quite nervous, quite tense in the face-off with 5-time defending world champion Yevgeny Gradovic. Ryder Blackwell for the British. Cardle against Evans, which gets heated every time for the British. Ryan against Hibbert for the Commonwealth. Do not miss this card. From 5 p.m. we'll have championship boxing. If you've got a ticket, if you're one of the lucky 18,000 that managed to get a seat, congratulations. If not, park yourself up at home, turn on Sky Sports box office and watch one of the best cards we've seen in British boxing for well over a decade. I cannot wait for tomorrow night.
It's going to be a cracking night. Eddie, thanks very much indeed for joining us. So much to look forward to here at the O2 Arena tomorrow night. We've got domestic fights, we've got European fights, we've got world titles, we've got Anthony Joshua. You couldn't possibly ask for more.
Yes, very much looking forward to it. A great evening of boxing in store. And for Connected Sky customers, the easiest way to book is with your remote control. Simply press box office and navigate to the sports tab, then select the fight. Booking with your remote is the only way to add the event to your Sky planner, and you'll then only be charged if you watch it. Cable customers should contact your operator.